Welcome to HP Tuner's GM Gen 5 Training Part 4. In this training module, we're going to be exploring our histogram and math channel feature in our VCM Scanner software. We're going to have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working in our VCM Scanner once again. This tutorial will be a little bit more specific use of the software. We're going to take a look at working within the histogram and math channel functions. This is going to allow us a lot of power in our data analysis. And specifically, the histograms are going to be an essential part of our calibration process. When we do our data analysis and review, it's going to really speed up how we look at the information that we're data logging and capturing in our data. So let's jump in here and we're going to take a look at how we can start to play around with our histograms. We're going to learn how we can build a custom histogram. We're also going to take a look at some of the histograms we have pre-populated already, and then we'll move into taking a look at our math functionality and how the math channels can be programmed. I have math channels available in our course folder that you can pre-populate right into your software. Everything's going to work pretty much off the bat, and you won't have to do any of the hard lifting in terms of scripting the math channels in order to build the math channel functionality. Let's first talk about these histograms and what they represent. So first things first, when you're taking a look in your VCM scanner, you can actually have the screen looking like mine by going into our layout folder here up at the top. That's going to allow you to bring in our histograms we find up top here and our chart versus time down below. Now the chart versus time is a graphical plotting of our data. We can take a look at our data analysis in a specific graphical format so we can spot trends. If we're overlaying lines, there's going to be a lot with that. As we move into our tutorials, we're going to be looking at how to use the chart versus time in our calibration process. But up top here, the histograms. This is going to be an invaluable part of how we calibrate our airflow modeling. We're going to look at this extensively in upcoming training modules, and you want to make sure that you have exactly what I'm working with here so you can follow along with what I'm showing in the tutorial, and then also making sure that you're able to take a look at the plotted data from your vehicle in the correct format. So in order to bring in this specific layout, histogram, chart versus time, if we go into our layout folder here, go into open layout, you'll move into your GM Gen 5 training course folder that I provided with the training course. We'll have a VCM scanner subfolder, and then in there we have our scanner layouts. Right now I only have one current layout available. By the time I'm finishing this course, I'll probably have at least one more, but for right now we can find GM VE tuning is what we want to open here. This is the general histogram layout that we want to start with, and this is what I have open on screen here. So we can see I've opened it up and we're taking a look at what that looks like right now. So in this case, we can see that you should find that you have the histograms populated on your window and your chart versus time are found down here. Let's jump in and talk about the histograms and what they represent. So we can take a look here. Let's just jump in and take a look at something like our math closed loop histogram. We're going to find that this histogram, if we're looking at it, we can see it has these blank cell points within this table type of format. This is going to allow us to plot data at specific points in this mass airflow frequency table, which is going to correspond to exactly what we find in our calibration file. Let's jump in and take a look at what this actually represents. So if we jump into the calibration file, in my particular case, a 2018 Yukon Denali that we're using for our test vehicle for the Gen 5 course, if we jump up here into the engine portion of the calibration and we jump into airflow, in our general tab, we're going to find here that we have our math calibration. There's two airflow versus frequency tables. We're only interested in the first airflow versus frequency. This table here represents what the frequency is going to be coming out of our mass airflow sensor as it's metering the airflow passing over it. Now what's going to happen is the sensor is going to send a frequency signal, which is reported here in the table, and then what we find down below is going to be the airflow or air mass that's being reported from the sensor. This is a one-to-one lookup where the sensor outputs a certain frequency and it's going to look up what that grams per second worth of airflow is going to be. It's pretty straightforward. Now what we're going to find is that if we're trying to calibrate this table, actually tune the table so it's going to be calibrated correctly, if we've changed the intake from stock, so the stock air box has been removed, we put on an aftermarket intake, this table needs to be dialed in so it represents the correct airflow coming into our engine. Now we're going to have a dedicated tutorial, several tutorials, working within the mass airflow calibration process, both open and closed loop. We'll get into all of that at that point in time. But the takeaway here is that when we're building out, working within the calibration process here for this specific table, we want to make sure that we know the exact position in the table. So what specific frequency cell point are we operating at, and what data do we want to plot underneath that? Now, if you take a look at this table here in the software, jumping back into the scanner, we're going to find the table is going to be replicated here, but with those blank cell points.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.